go over the DME. This is a daily reporting that you do, update it kind of as you go throughout the day. It's specifically designed for the repair technicians, so we can track how much revenue they've sold, how many purchase orders they've spent, as well as their pay. So make sure that we're always within our gross margins, as well as our labor margins, things along those lines. Now, the DME is actually, it's the same spreadsheet that you actually use for your payroll report, which will be done in a different video. But in this case, you're just building their paycheck as you go, and then informing the technician kind of where they sit. So every day this is something that's due typically around 11 a.m. That can fluctuate between 10 and 11. But essentially all it is just tracking this information. So we'll just go left to right. Revenue, $5,744. Revenue adjustments is used in the case that, say, the repair technician goes and does a drain and clean, and it's $1,200. Well, once the drain and clean is done, we need to send another technician out to actually work on that job as well. This technician is paid 25% of his gross, which means that I'm going to put $1,200 here, and then he's going to get paid all of it, and then I'll have to pay the technician as well, the other technician as well. That's double paying. You end up overtime that starts to stack. So whatever we're paying this technician to perform that work, and whatever cost it is associated to have him do that work, like his truck and his gas, it's based off of a percentage. You would put that number here. So if we sell a drain for $1,200, and then the technician has to go out and do that 3 times, the cost that the company has accrued to actually have that technician do that is around $250. So we need to put that revenue adjustment there. That way it calculates properly and we don't end up double paying. By doing that, it reduces his gross, so his pay rate adjusts as well. Then we have his PO numbers, which is the parts that he actually purchased to do that job. Every PO that he purchases gets put into this slot. We give them Monday through Friday to buy the stuff that they need, do the installations. And if they don't actually sell that product within that time period, well, it's Monday through Sunday technically, they need to take it back, so it doesn't actually get knocked onto their part orders. And if for some reason on a Friday they picked up a part and we can't do the installation until Monday, that's whenever the service manager's job, the person that's tracking this, needs to know this PO has been rolled, and they need to monitor that, because at that point I would reduce it from this payroll period, and I would print out that invoice, set it to the side, and the next week it's the first thing that I'm going to put on this DME is that he has this inventory, and this is when we're doing the job. Then we have the actual taxes. Company does accrue certain taxes, franchise tax being one of them. That gets charged back as well. These are all expenses that the company has to deal with, such as franchise tax and sales tax. What we don't want to do is have our PO numbers here. This is the number that we pay at the actual desk at SCP at the what's the word I'm looking for? At the counter. This is what we pay at the counter. Well, we pay tax monthly. So if I were to only put this number here, then I would be paying him a percentage of this number and not accounting for this number. So we paid him a whole lot of money, including this money, a percentage of this money, and then we have to pay this as well. So we're basically double taxing ourselves. So everything on here goes in line. And then the franchise tax is just something that we have to pay periodically, and we do charge some of that back to the technician as being part of the entire community here, so we can make sure that we're maintaining profitability. So I said it all comes off their actual gross total. So they have their overall revenue, and we deduct their POs, and we deduct our franchise taxes, and then we also deduct our sales tax from this entire amount of revenue, and he only gets the 25% of the actual gross that's left over after all of this has been deducted from his overall revenue, including revenue adjustments. And then it calculates. And then we can, of course, have his actual booking percentages. Booking over here needs to be at, if you see these top lines, this is the kind of the window of opportunity we want to be in um, at all times. But this actually tracks his booking, so that's how we get this number. It should be 60. It was at 80%. So essentially, he went to 10 jobs. He landed 8 out of 10 of those jobs. And then 4 of those were actually warranty calls for stuff that we had previously installed, and we needed to do something about it. And then, of course, we have the amount of hours that he actually worked. So he went to 10. He landed 8. His booking percentage is 80%. And, of course, if I were to change this, it would drop down to 50% right here. It also adjusts his average ticket. We want to know his average ticket should be 550. If he does 12 calls and 6 jobs, his average ticket is 957.33. If he does 15 and he does 8, it's 718. See how this stuff starts to adjust? 718 still, 80%, but he's where we want him to be. Then, of course, his hours is used. He is paid on a commission basis, 25% of gross, which gives him his pay amount right here. And then we put his hours here, and we divide his overall pay by the amount of hours just so we can see what his actual pay rate was. Still want to know. And notice that I changed this to 32, and that'll adjust accordingly. All this stuff is automated. Then we actually have his pay adjustment. Pay adjustment is when we need to add money onto his check because he did something like he got parts at Home Depot, and we need to pay him back. He had to get gas out of pocket. We need to pay him back. Things along those lines. And then, then it just calculates his actual overall pay right here. And then it's a good tracking mechanism. And then we have his gross percentage. Goal is always 60%. In this case, for this week, we didn't use this. It's 51%. Now, Kevin is due for his sign-on bonus. That's why this $375 is here. But if I were to take that out, he's actually in really good standing. 58% gross. The gross is the percentage over his purchase orders and his taxes. The gross percentage identifies how much profit we actually made, top line. So we're looking at 58% GP. His labor is 17%. Always want to be between 18 and 20. It's actually a little bit lower. With these two numbers, you can kind of counterbalance them because we want this to be 60 instead of 58 and 17. So realistically, when we look at it, we say, all right, well, we got 3 points here, and we can kind of put them over there if we wanted to. So he's at 61 and 20 when you look at it from that, if you max all those numbers out. But it's close enough. COGS are 27%. 20% COGS is actually somewhat hard to obtain a lot of the time. When we're looking at something like this, it's really, really good, so there's nothing to complain about. These numbers will stay down around the 20 to 25% range sometimes. A lot of time it's going to drive a little bit higher strictly because the suppliers are going up on our prices. The really important part is where are we at right here and where are we at right here. This is a good goal to have, but if we're looking like this and this is at 27%, I'm not complaining. Average ticket's good, booking percentage is good, and these all stack. So if I were to put another $5,000 here, I had to send a technician to go do some of his work. Right there, he had $1,500 in PO numbers. All these things start calculating. He did 7 calls, 5 jobs, 1 warranty. He worked 32 hours. And I owe him $55 because he got gas. There you go. See how everything lines out. His paycheck is $805. There's his gross, his labor, his cost of goods are a little bit high. His average ticket's $1,000, and his booking percentage is good. And these aren't horrible. It's 54 and 16, but when you really look at that, it's more like 58 and 20 because we have 4 points that we can play with. So 58 and 20, not really complaining too much. It's not too horrible. Could be better. Realistically, we want to see this. That's more like what we really want to see on a regular basis. Technician, look how it all plays out really, really well. The gross is high. The company's making good money. The booking percentage is great. The technician's making a lot of money. Everything is just looks really good. Notice the COGS are a little bit higher than the 20%, but we're at 60, 18. It just looks really good. So, and you'll do this kind of as you go. It's the same thing for the payroll. Like I said, you come in the morning, you run the numbers from the day before. At the end of the day, you verify that you closed out, everything looks good. Very next day, check it again, and just keep this thing rolling and rolling and rolling. You can send it over to your supervisor, let them know, hey, this is where we're at right now. This is how many jobs we're doing. We've got 17 jobs we've been to 13, we've won 13 of them. Our gross right now, we're at 10. We're almost $11,000 in actual gross for the week. Our margins are 59 overall and 18 overall. We're in great standing. We're doing really good. And then if the technician calls in and says, hey, kind of where am I at? You'll have an answer. And at the same time, every single day, you can take this, email it. Of course, do not include the pay if you're going to email it to the technicians. Black that out. They don't need to know the pay rate of the other technicians either. This is all they need to know. So, yeah, you can just show them, email this out to them. Say, hey, this is where you're looking. You're at 60, 18. Breeds a little bit of competition, because when you have somebody that's sitting down around 3,500 in revenue and their POs are stacked sky high, and they've been to 12 jobs and they've only landed, which this type of stuff should never happen, but they've only landed 4 and they've been to 4 warranties. That's horrible. We're 46 and 13, 44. It just looks bad. And by showing technicians as a whole kind of where everybody's at, it breeds a little bit of competition. Nobody wants to be on this totem pole whenever their competition is at this totem pole. It's not really competition, but whenever their fellow coworkers are at this level. So yeah, you'll just track this on a daily basis. This is the actual process of the DME, and using this spreadsheet. What I will do is make another video that explains how you actually acquire this information and get it easily on a readily available basis. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and Control Z some of this stuff. Just back all my blanks out of here. All right, and there we go. Everything's back to normal. Also, in the case that you need to make another one, you have the pay date. Notice it's DME, as you track daily. Always remember that. You're going to use this, but it's also the report that you're going to turn in for payroll. 928, if you need to make another one, which of course you do, you just right-click on the tab, move or copy, create a copy, scroll to the bottom, move it to the end, hit OK. And then we need to put the date on the October 5th is the next one. And then for the new one, we need to adjust it up here as well. So there we go. Now we have the one that I'm currently working on right now. This will be reported this upcoming Friday for the week previous, letting me know what we've closed out at. And then this is the one that I'll start working on Friday as well, which is for the week previous. This is the final copy. So, I messed this up. Let me see here. And that is it. That is how you utilize this thing in real time. Yep, and that's it. So we're at 9:28. It's the 26th. Currently, this is what we're looking at right now. As it sits, this one will be due on 9:28. This is what we're looking at right now. And then at the end of the day, I will go ahead and update this with what we're looking at for the rest of the week. That way, on Friday, I can close out the week, say, hey, this is what we made for this week. This is what I'm reporting for payroll next week when it's due.